Hello there. If you would like to see how I made awesome elf robes using these two patterns and did it on a budget, this is the video for you. My kids have always enjoyed Lord of the Rings. They grew up on Lord of the Rings. When they were 4, 5, 6 years old is when the Peter Jackson Lord of the Rings came out, and they loved it from then. With the rise of the Rings of Power this fall, it's kind of reignited that. And as my eldest son doesn't usually have me make him clothes, he asked me if I would make him some elf robes for Halloween. The inspiration picture is from the Peter Jackson Lord of the Rings. We got the fabric in a couple of different places, and we were able to keep it down around $50, $60, which was really pretty good. We first went to Joann's to try to find something that he liked there that was on the clearance section. There was only rosy colored, like burgundies and rose, and while that would have made some beautiful robes, it's not a very good color on my son, who's a redhead. So it just kind of made him look like an eraser. So we did find, however, at Joann's this really pretty blue fabric, and it's a polyester something, and it looks really nice on him. And then we also got these really pretty buttons. I don't know if you can see them. He paid for all of this. They've worked since they were 12, quite honestly. They do detasseling. Until I moved to Nebraska, I had no idea that there was such a thing, and that your 12-year-old could go earn money over the summer by detasseling corn. And that is just pulling the tassels out of the corn. Now, however, the oldest is working at like fast food restaurant. So he paid. I told him, you buy the fabric, I will make the ropes. So he liked those buttons, and then he bought this fabric at Joann's, and then the other fabric he got was I found it excuse me, I found it at Hobby Lobby, and there's I think it was 2 yards worth. And it kind of takes on the color of, it's kind of got blue undertones, but it's silver. And so it really is pretty awesome. I have no idea. Again, it's got to be a polyester of some sort, but I don't know what it is. But it has no stretch. It looks kind of like metal, though. It's really a neat fabric. And so that's what we made I don't know if you would call it a cummerbund or what, but this is the cummerbund. And then also the skirt, the underneath skirt. So let's see, those are the fabrics. So altogether the fabrics were around $50. The patterns, this was my first time doing any kind of pattern hacking, and it was kind of fun. The one pattern I bought, well, I actually bought two patterns. The first pattern I had gotten, and then I was like, I wasn't real sure that was going to work as well as I thought it would, especially when I found this pattern. It's Butterick 6534. I don't know, I'll put a picture in. I don't know how well you can see it, but using this View A, this jacket, I just took this jacket and I extended it, obviously, and then I changed the collar so that it's a wide collar. So I just added about 2 to 3 inches to the top of the collar, doubling it in size upwise, but then I had it just come down to the neckline as usual, and so it was very easy to do. Then I cut away from the fabric, and that I just, okay, so I'm probably getting ahead of myself. I sewed up the middle part from where he wanted to have the buttons start. I just sewed the two sides together because this does not have any buttonholes or anything like that. It's just a jacket, and with a turned back plackets, button plackets. So I just sewed those two plackets together down the center, and then cut away from the pattern so that it made it kind of open up like drapery, is in my mind. You know how that just nice curve in the front. Well, I actually did it with the mock-up. I had, and the mock-up is kind of funny, so I'll put a picture in here of that. But while he was wearing the mock-up, I just kind of cut away so that I knew where it was that he would want to have the part cut away. We had to, and then I transferred it to the pattern and added a little bit for seam allowance so I could just turn it under and it'd still look pretty. I have to say, when I was sewing it, it's not very, I probably should have used some stabilizer on the edges because it kind of wrinkled a little bit here and there, but not so bad that I don't think it's terribly noticeable. I hope it's not terribly noticeable. I had to figure out, and I could have looked it up, but I just didn't want to. So I just kind of figured it out. We got some little stretchy elastic, kind of, and I just sewed it. And I don't know if you really want to see the back. It's pretty messy. I mean, like, it's pretty messy, but I'll show you just because. Isn't that hilarious? I know there's a way to do, I think they're called Rolo loops, but I just, by the time I was to the buttons, I did not want to mess with it. So I just sewed them in place and then I knotted them on the back so that it wouldn't slide through, because this elastic stuff does not feel like it, you know, the sewing machine went over the loops, it didn't go through the loops or through the elastic pieces, and so it very well could just slide right out. So I knotted it and then I sewed it to the edge here again, but not through, just on the edge of just on the edge. And I was smart enough to use some stabilizer there, probably because the pattern told me to. But anyway, so so those are this was a hack. This part, yeah, that's looking pretty bad. This was a hack where it kind of cuts away. Let me see. Can you see that? I'm too short. And then the sleeves were a hack. And the sleeves pattern, I already had the Simplicity 8506 1930s vintage sleeve pack. And I used version G with the tucks, the little tucks, and they do not have you sew them down all the way around, but this fabric was so slippery and I was afraid it'd just kind of hang, kind of sag. It wouldn't look nice. So I did, I just sewed all of the tucks all the way around. And it just made for a nice pretty detail. I think they're called details. And it made the sleeve a little bit more bell-shaped, which is closer to the inspiration picture. So that's what I pattern hacked, but then the other parts of the costume, I'm going to throw that over there. I'm stepping on it. Was the skirt, of course, the underskirt, and this was just about 2 yards of fabric. I just went around him. I took the fabric, I was like, okay, and then give you a little bit more. He didn't want it real voluminous. It would have looked silly if it was very voluminous. So, but we did use almost all two yards of it. The cummerbund, whatever it is, I just kind of, let's see, you could say I self-drafted, but probably it's more like I just kind of cobbled it together. I took a loop, I just made a loop of the silver fabric, and put some tucks. I just tucked it up into, I measured it from the height that he wanted it to start to the place where he wanted it to end, and gathered it on him, and then I did tucks because it was easier to sew, would look better, especially since it's a looped fabric, I thought. And then I just kind of sandwiched it in, I don't know, a binding. I guess this would be a binding of the blue fabric because I was running out of the silver fabric. Also, I don't think the silver fabric would have held very well. It's not stretchy, but it's really slippery. And then I just put hooks and eyes, and first off, like I always do, I put them on backwards, and then took them off and put them back on the right way. And then of course here's the eyes. So that was a whole costume. I'm quite proud of the costume, and he's quite proud of it as well. And so he's going to be an elf at the Comic-Con in March, and I am going to use the Comic-Con as an excuse to make a Hobbit costume, so I can have, I've always loved the I don't know, the corsets and the you know, having the chemise and the, like the, I don't even know what it's called, but I'm very excited. So coming closer to March, there will be another Sew the Look Hobbit version, and I'm definitely looking forward to making up my own costume for once. Have you ever made any costumes? Have you ever gone to a Comic-Con? Is there anybody in particular that you would like to be if you went to a Comic-Con? If you'd like to talk about it and leave it in the comments below, it would be fun to have a little chat. So thank you very much, and have a good rest of your day.